Not all pictures tell 1,000 words. This one tells so many more. We'll never exactly know, but it's also probably worth about $20 million. That's the speculated amount Prince Andrew will pay Virginia Giuffre to settle a legal case she brought against him. She says when she was 17, she was trafficked to the prince by the pedophile businessman Jeffrey Epstein, ably assisted by his sex offender partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. Despite the photograph, Andrew has always denied ever meeting, let alone having sex with Miss Giuffre. But he's been so discredited, these days it's difficult to believe anything the disgraced royal says.
The downfall of a duke stripped of every military title given by his mother and no longer known as HRH, the Queen casts out her favourite son.
It's the photograph that brought down a prince.
From the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not.
Prince Andrew happily posing with Virginia Giuffre, who was then just 17.
This is a real photo.
And that was the first time you met him?
And that's the very first time I met him. And that's right before I was abused by him.
It is the crucial evidence in the civil suit Virginia has brought against the prince, accusing him of sexual abuse on 3 separate occasions. When you learnt, after the first time that it was to happen a second time and then it was to happen a third time, what was your reaction to that?
Disgusted every time. Just absolutely disgusted.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
But others do. Virginia's former boyfriend now speaks out against Prince Andrew.
I didn't think it was like royalty included in any of this. And then when I heard that, how much bigger can you get than that?
Prince Andrew, hours ago, agreed to a settlement.
Then the shock announcement.
There is no admission of liability by the Duke.
From denial to capitulation.
Prince Andrew regrets his association with Epstein and commends the bravery of Miss Giuffre and other survivors.
The prince abandons the legal fight.
In terms of the funding, around £12 million.
Opting to pay out rather than show up in court.
I actually would have expected him to try to settle before we brought the litigation.
And we were on the inside, in the final hours, as the finer details of this momentous negotiation were hammered out.
I knew it was not going to be an easy road. He has very good lawyers and a lot of resources.
But not enough to protect him from palace sources, now prepared to expose the real Prince Andrew. Did Prince Andrew have a nickname at that time?
It was called the...
As Virginia Giuffre first told us in 2019, she would never have met the Duke of York if it was not for his close friends, convicted sex offenders Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Targeted by Maxwell in 1999, the troubled runaway was offered a job and the promise of training to become a professional masseuse. Unaware of the trap set for her, Virginia agreed, with the help of Maxwell, to do a trial massage on Epstein.
That's when I was instructed to get undressed and have sex with Jeffrey Epstein while Ghislaine Maxwell was participating as well.
You want to take a moment?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
So you were abused by both of them in your very first encounter?
Yeah, both of them. I was abused by Ghislaine and Epstein, and it broke my heart. I don't mean to sound sexist in any way, shape, or form, but I expected it from a man, but I didn't expect it from a woman. I couldn't imagine putting someone through what she put me through. And, yeah, I think that's what hurts the most.
Of recruiting and grooming teenage girls to have sex with her former boyfriend. The disgraced and now dead billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Guilty of
While her
5
appeal
of the
will be
6
heard in a few months, Maxwell faces the rest of her life in jail for her role, which included the trafficking of a minor.
When we started out, our goal was really to attack the evil of sex trafficking, to try to stop Epstein and Maxwell.
It's a case that has a touch of David versus Goliath, where in this instance, the unlikely underdog is David Boies, Virginia's formidable US attorney. This time, the experienced litigator was taking on the power and wealth of not only the Epstein and Maxwell double act, but also the British royal family. At the time of this interview, last Tuesday, David was preparing his deposition of Prince Andrew, set down for early March. The Duke is the first royal to come under such legal glare. And so do you feel the weight of that? I mean, this is quite a historical moment.
In a sense, but I've deposed a lot of historical figures, whether it's Bill Gates or senators or cabinet members, billionaires, captains of industry.
So adding a royal to your list doesn't frighten you in any way or intimidate you in any way?
Well, it doesn't frighten or intimidate me because I get to ask the questions.
But David's questions will remain unanswered, with the prince dodging the interrogation by settling the case. Serious and deeply disturbing allegations remain. Virginia says she was trafficked to many men, but the prince was the most high profile. How did you learn that you were going to be trafficked to him?
I, was woken up by Ghislaine in the morning and told I was going to meet a prince. And up till then, I should have known, but I didn't even know that I was going to be trafficked that night to him. And we went shopping and Prince Andrew came over, and then we went to Club Tramp, and he danced with me, and he's a horrific dancer, by the way, and he sweats a lot, and he smells funny. And then we get in the car, and Andrew's not in the car with us. He's in the car behind us with his security guards. And Ghislaine tells me in the car that I have to do what I do for Jeffrey for Prince Andrew. And that's when I learned what was going to happen.
First in London at Maxwell's townhouse, then New York at the Epstein mansion, and finally on Epstein's Caribbean island. Virginia says she was nothing more to the prince than a sexual plaything.
I was lower than a dog to them, I wasn't even a puppy to be played with. I was just a toy. You're not even acknowledged as being alive or there or important or cared for or worried about in any way. None of those human emotions were attached to me when I was trafficked to Prince Andrew.
In the growing chorus against Prince Andrew's denials comes Tony Figueroa, Virginia's boyfriend at the time, a high school sweetheart who shared a house with the 17-year-old. He was well aware of her routine, 2 weeks at home with him and 2 weeks away with Jeffrey Epstein. When the scheduled call came from Epstein, Tony says Virginia had no choice but to go. Was there an element of fear?
Of course. When one person that powerful knows where you live, like where you sleep, when you see your girlfriend have to leave every 2 weeks, and like when she gets that call, her face like completely switches from, all right, I'm good, to like, oh my God, it takes its toll and it gets pretty stressful.
Tony remembers one call in particular, but this one came from Virginia herself.
She called me maybe, I guess, right after, she found out exactly what they wanted her to do. She said she wasn't feeling safe. And I just told her to do whatever she could to make sure she stayed safe.
What did they want her to do?
For her to have sex with them, with Jeffrey and the prince.
Ever since Virginia went public with her allegations against Prince Andrew, he has vehemently denied them. most memorably on British television in this compelling and cringeworthy interview. There was Prince Andrew's response to Virginia's claim he was sweaty and smelled funny.
She described dancing with you
No.
and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was actually yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at. And I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat.
Then his declaration that on the night Virginia claims he sexually abused her, he was in fact at Pizza Express in Woking with one of his daughters.
A very unusual thing for me to do. I've never...
Watching all this was attorney David Boys. My understanding was that you have sought some evidence of those claims, evidence that he has a condition that stops him from sweating, and evidence that he was at Woking. Has he been able to provide any of that?
No, you're entirely correct. That is, we served a document demand on him for any documents that would support those assertions, and he does not have any documents.
Did you really expect him to have documentary evidence that he doesn't sweat?
No, I didn't. My reaction with respect to the assertion that he didn't sweat was a little incredulity and a thought that this was probably not a credible ground to stake your reputation on. With respect to the Pizza Express, it occurred to me that it would be reckless to make that assertion unless you had some way of proving it. And so we certainly wanted to check that out.
And so far it doesn't check out?
So far it has not checked out.
Virginia launched her civil suit against the prince 6 months ago. Ever since, he has done his utmost to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, the architects of the sex trafficking web. But as you'll see, palace staff are now prepared to go on the record, revealing the extent of the relationship between Epstein's madam and Prince Andrew.
Myself and my other colleagues, we got the impression that they were in some form of intimate relationship.
Up until last week, Prince Andrew was defiantly heading to court to fight allegations he sexually abused the teenage Virginia Giuffre, having rejected earlier attempts to settle. Both sides were getting ready for a showdown, with Virginia's New York attorney, David Boys, preparing to question the prince under oath. Last Tuesday, David agreed to talk about the trial set for September and hinted something might be afoot.
There will be developments that we'll probably want to talk about again soon.
Do you have any sense whether the trial may not go ahead at all, but might in fact be settled before that trial date?
I think there's always a possibility of settlement. I think the prospects of settlement and negotiation is not something that I can really talk about. As you appreciate, you can't really try to resolve a case like this in public. Those negotiations have to go on in private.
It is now clear those negotiations continued right after our interview finished. Less than 24 hours later, the news broke.
Now to the major turn for Britain's Prince Andrew, reaching a settlement with Virginia.
Prince Andrew was no longer going to court.
Settling out of court for an undisclosed
He'd agreed
amount.
to a settlement meeting Virginia's conditions.
Years of denying her claims against him.
One of the things that Virginia has said is that in addition to an appropriate settlement amount, there would have to be recognition by Prince Andrew of inappropriateness of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I think that we've said from the beginning that there would have to be vindication of Virginia. There would have to be a recognition of Virginia as a clear victim of abuse, and there would have to be recognition of the unfair public attacks that have been made against her.
Over the past week, the greatest speculation has been over how much the confidential settlement is worth, and ultimately, who will pay for it.
We're talking about between 10 and 12 million pounds. Now, Andrew's not a very rich man. He has some rich friends who I think would blanch at lending him 12 million pounds, frankly. There's been mention repeatedly in the press that the Queen is bailing him out.
Author Nigel Cawthorne, who's investigated the Epstein scandal, says the greatest concern in the UK is that the money, rumoured to be the equivalent of $20 million, will come out of the public purse.
As far as I can see, defending your wayward son in a sleazy sex case in a foreign court is not one of Her Majesty's official duties.
What would you imagine the Queen said to Prince Andrew?
I don't know. I think she would have probably addressed him as like one of her corgis and told him to come to heel. The settlement in no way exonerates him at all.
You say that the settlement does not exonerate him. In the eyes of the public, do you think it cements their perception that he's guilty?
In the court of world public opinion, I think we've all made our minds up, haven't we?
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced until these people are brought to justice.
What do you say to the critics of Virginia who claim that it's a money grab after such a long time?
This has never been entirely or mostly or even to a very large extent about money. This has been a cause that Virginia has dedicated her life to in terms of bringing attention to the evils of sex trafficking and holding people who engage in sex trafficking to account.
Only Prince Andrew can explain his decision to settle.
Once the judge had read that...
But the conviction in December of his longtime friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, for sex trafficking did not look good for him.
He'd been friends with Ghislaine Maxwell for 40 years. Though in his rebuttal in the Gouffre case, he says she's not a close friend. But they're together in Buckingham Palace, they're together in Balmoral, they're in Sandringham, they're together in Ascot. They're not close friends? Do you think he's telling the truth?
Certainly Paul Page, a former Royal Personal Protection Officer, witnessed the Prince and Maxwell together many times at Buckingham Palace.
Personally, I'd say within over the 2 years, I'd seen her come in about a dozen times, and she was just waved through. One of my colleagues saw her come in and out 4 times in one day. For Prince Andrew to say, I hardly knew her, is he's delusional. To myself and my other colleagues, we got the impression that they were in some form of intimate relationship.
Paul's concern at the time was not so much for Andrew's reputation, but the Queen's, as the palace hosted the daughter of disgraced media tycoon and fraudster Robert Maxwell.
We noticed it was Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell sitting having a picnic. We said, I wonder if the Queen knows who's sitting on her lawn, having a picnic with her son. You know, so we thought it was a bit, if the press got hold of it, it might be an issue.
Prince Andrew brought the sex trafficking scandal into the House of Windsor. Now palace staff are pulling back the curtain on the Prince of Weirdness. Why would anyone have 50 or 60 teddy bears on their bed? By settling the civil suit with his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, Prince Andrew was surely hoping the stench of scandal surrounding him would go away. Instead, despite making no admissions, the public perception is he's evaded scrutiny and, yet again, some tough questions, according to author Nigel Cawthorne.
But once he said, I never met her, I don't know who she is, and there's a picture of the three of them together, he'd just completely blown it.
For Paul Page, who worked as part of palace security for 6 years, The legal stoush has allowed people to finally see the real Prince Andrew. Did Prince Andrew have a nickname at that time?
He did have a nickname, but it's a bit rude for me to tell you one I'll tell you, but you're not going to be able to air it. It was just called, do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It was called plain and simple, because unfortunately he upset everyone he come across. He was the most unpopular member of the royal family while I was there. He was just rude, arrogant. I mean, his sense of self-entitlement was breathtaking.
Between 1998 and 2004, Paul says he witnessed appalling behaviour from a man who was used to always getting what he wanted.
I just feel that Prince Andrew has got a case to answer on all levels, including bullying. And I suffered at the hands of Prince Andrew. Young girls suffered at the hands of Prince Andrew, his maids, other police officers and members of staff. But none of this has ever been looked into because people were too frightened.
Andrew was certainly the prince of good times.
There was a constant flow of females visiting Prince Andrew late in the evening, whom we were not privy to their names or identity. We obviously thought it was a bit of a boy, and the joke was he should have a revolving door in his bedroom.
And taking British eccentricity to another level, Paul recounts a tour by a colleague of the Prince's bedroom, where teddy bears were meticulously placed on his bed.
We looked at all the teddy bears on the bed. We thought, OK, a 40-year-old man with about 50 or 60 teddy bears on his bed, all right, fair enough. And then he said, there's a card in that drawer there, and showed us the card. It was a laminated picture of all the teddy bears. And then he explained that if the teddy bears aren't put back in this certain order, Prince Andrew would start shouting and swearing at the maids. The alarm bells are ringing then on that sort of issue of you know, why would anyone be that sort of, you know, controlling?
Why would anyone have 50 or 60 teddy bears on their bed?
Well, apparently it was 72, more have come forward, so...
It's behaviour, Paul says, that speaks to the arrogance of someone who didn't have to answer to anyone. Whether it was throwing his regal weight around over a misplaced teddy or brazenly visiting known child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in New York.
That trip would have been planned from an office within the Royal Protection Department. They would have contacted the state police or whoever runs protection in New York and given them the Prince's details of where he was staying, his travel arrangements. Well, obviously it would have come back that it was owned by Jeffrey Epstein, who was a convicted felon.
You're saying that the royal household would have been red flagged on this?
Yes. They need to know where he's staying, where the nearest police station is, where the nearest hospital is, what teams are going to take turns in looking after him, and all those factors come into play.
But who in that household would know? I mean, would Mum and Dad be told about this? Would the Queen know?
Again, I'm not too sure if there's anyone who's got the guts to speak to the Queen about it. I'm pretty sure if the Queen knew, she would have said no.
Paul Page has himself been in trouble with the law, sentenced to jail for 6 years for investment fraud. But it's his encounters with Prince Andrew that seem to have scarred him most. Knowing the inner workings of the palace, he's convinced for every trip Andrew took, for every time he's accused of being with Virginia, there was someone there who saw it. So, if there were witnesses to Prince Andrew being with Virginia Giuffre, why have they not come forward?
You're going up against the royal family, so there's a lot of fear amongst ex-police officers of coming forward. They've signed non-disclosure agreements as well, so they're worried about that. They're worried about their pensions. There's a lot of people out there with information that are just too frightened to come forward.
The journey to justice has been a long one for Virginia Giuffre.
She has no shame.
When we first met the now Australian resident in 2019, she made clear allegations against Prince Andrew. But the prospect of a member of the royal family ever facing a courtroom seemed a near impossibility.
Nobody who hurt me has taken accountability in any way, shape, or form. Everyone that has hurt me has denied it.
Since then, Virginia's campaign has seen Prince Andrew stripped of his titles, his privileges and position. Even though he has settled the court case and continues to deny Virginia's claims, few seriously believe he can ever remove the stain of being linked to Epstein and Maxwell's sex trafficking ring. What is the future for Prince Andrew?
Well, I mean, I hate to be facetious about these things, but I mean, the only actually way back publicly is that he needs to revive his reputation as a kind of war hero. So I guess he should volunteer for the front line in the Ukraine right now.
Virginia will most likely carry the scars of battle for the rest of her life. But to many, especially her attorney David Boies, in this moment, she is triumphant in a war she continues to fight for others. How is Virginia holding up, in your opinion?
She is holding up remarkably well. She is a great young woman, enormous courage, commitment. It was going to be a cause that was going to subject her to enormous personal attacks. So she went into this with her eyes open, and she has persevered. This is a cause that she believes in, and she is determined to try to prevent what happened to her to happening to other young girls.
Because this is not a path you would choose if you didn't feel you had to, is it?
This is not a path you would choose. No person would ever take on the wealth and power and position of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew, if they were not convinced not only of the rightness of their cause, but of the critical importance of their cause.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.
Everyone there on Planet of Pikachu, Shelby Billionaire here live from Waianae, Oahu, Hawaii. I want to let you all know that I found the Epstein files, secretly hidden in plain sight where most people would not suspect. When you do a little search, you're going to find AG Pam Bondi wrote a letter on February 27th, 2025. That's right, we're going back into the past to understand the present. Because recently she said there is no Epstein client list. There are no files. But what's strange about this is Pikachu found it, and I've leaked it on Facebook, on X, tagged Elon Musk, Real Candace Owens, Tulsi Gabbard, and everybody, because we found the list, and we did it on Facebook Live. But now for all of our IG fans, I want to let you know where I found the Epstein list, the evidence, the client list, the flight logs, and how you guys can follow along with me. For all of you guys who are listening and tuning in, Pikachu found the Epstein client list and the logs. So let's go through it with you and me. I got my laptop with me because it'd be very hard to put into a video. So let's just film it live for all of you guys watching out there. All right, so we got reverse camera. Here we go. So here's the letter from the AG. What's up, Leo Mana? And this is what I found right here. So when you go to the DOJ website, Attorney General Pamela Bondi released his first phase of declassified Epstein files, February 27th. Here you're going to see Pam Bondi saying to the FBI, we have public release files related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and the sexual exploitation of 250 underage girls in his homes in New York and Florida. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And when you scroll to the bottom, bada bing, bada boom. Here's the evidence list. Here's the flight logs. This is the 100-something pages. Here's all the small parts. This is the contact black book they found in New York around 54th Street, and this is the masseuse list. So when you click on the evidence list, you're going to come up to here. There's going to be 3 pages. You're going to see some weird, sick stuff. Towers, photos, videos, red tape. Here's what stood out to me. On the 3rd page, you go to General. 1 red rope contained like a container. And what's inside here? Let's read it all together. 1 vibrator, 3 butt plugs, 1 set of cuffs, 1 dildo, 1 leash, 1 box of condoms, 1 nurse cap, 1 stethoscope. You're going to see right underneath 1 more butt plug, framed photos of naked females, copper handcuffs and whip. You're going to see 3 sheets of paper. You're going to start getting disgusted of the photographs, the miscellaneous, the SD cards. This is the evidence that Pam Bondi already has on file, because you can show it right here. Next is the flight logs. So when you're on the website, you guys can follow along. If you go through this, it'll give you this page, which is 118 something pages. It's 180 something long. What you're gonna do here is I'm gonna give you the little cheat code. So when you scroll down, you're gonna see these handwritten names. And Jeffrey, you're gonna see they spelled out first names in the beginning. Then when you get towards the end, you're gonna say Ghislaine Maxwell is gonna be a GM. Jeffrey Epstein will be a JE. And you're going to see the marks, the names. Yes, Donald Trump is on the list right here. You guys can go through it, which is quite a lot. Here on the black book, so if you guys are following along, the contact book found in 1997 on 54th Street is going to be right here. And Donald Trump's name is on page 85. For all you curious Republicans, Donald Trump, AG Pam Bondi, your name's right here, which is why they don't want to show it to you. And what's strange about the contact book, because I remember seeing this earlier in the 90s, you're going to see Lex Wessner, the White House contact names, Ivanka Trump. A lot of Trumps are on there because you got choked contacts from all over here. Jeffrey Epstein's here, different names. Kenya, different countries. You got massage literally written in here in UK. Like, they're not even trying to hide all this shit. Medical, how to cover it up, PB, witnesses. So what's strange is if you scroll down the black book list at the bottom, where there's not supposed to be any more pages, because they redacted most of the shit, so you can't see their names, contact, phone numbers. Before, you could do it. And here's where it gets freaky, folks. Here's the important emails. Jeffrey Epstein's contact list: PB, Pittsburgh, New York, NM, New Mexico, Paris, New York. Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 stars. You can see who's important based on stars. Tim Newcombe, never heard of him. Citrix Systems programmer, probably just like you guys. Shirley Palmer or Charlie Palmer. Joe Pajamo. Christopher, French driver. Important witness. Secret Service personnel escorting. See, there we go. Secret Service personnel escorting Mr. Barak Ehud, former Prime Minister of Israel, on Jeffrey Epstein planes. See, told you Mossad's connected right here, black and white on their black book. Jean-Luc Prunel, that's the modeling scout with the agency. Scout, like I said, for young females. Karen Models. David Copperfield, magician, we know the guy. Eva Anderson from Dubai. David Cook, Palm Beach. That sounds almost like Dane Cook. I'm not sure if that's the comedian. Witness, interacted and chat daily with underage girls. This is all in the black book in the client list right here on the AG Pam Bondi's website for the Department of Justice. So if you guys haven't seen the letter, I'm going to read the letter to you guys right here of what she said. So we'll go it slowly over you guys. February 27th, so we're going back into the past. Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. Bada bing, here's the client list we just went over. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to any request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI they would receive the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Boom, boom, boom. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 20th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio, video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims in accordance with law, as I have done with my entire career as a prosecutor. Sounds good. I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation to why my order to FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and propose personnel action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we both committed to transparency for the American people and look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our presidency and our country. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Signed, sealed, and delivered. So that's the truth of what's going down with the Epstein files. Right here, you can find it here. I'll put the links and posts below. And I'll put it here. We already put it on Facebook. So we'll put the Epstein files. Here's the letter. We're going to put it on here. And we'll send you guys the tag. You guys can follow me on Instagram. Well, you guys are already following here. Right here, Legendary Billionaire. And we'll see you guys in cyberspace. So we did find the Epstein files. And you guys can find it right here. The letter, all the details here on the Department of Justice website. And then we'll put the links down below onto this post. Once we're done with the live stream, you're going to see the update right here. And we found the list, folks. So thank you all for watching. You guys going to get the fresh intel. And I'll put the links down below so you guys can click, find a way to enjoy yourself. And you're going to be shocked by some of the names you see. Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Julia Roberts, Oprah Winfrey, Sean P. Diddy Combs. A lot of names are on there. So you guys going to see the names, see the list. You can have an AI run the system for you so you don't have to describe all those small little words yourself. But you guys can go through it, have a great time, and you're going to do something amazing with this. Spread the word, share the word, find the list. I'll put the links below. Chee-hoo! Aloha. Pikachu loves you. Aloha.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching. Everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
This is everything. The only solace for me is that when a group of people who've experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
A painful bond shared among these 6 women sitting together for the first time for an exclusive interview with NBC News.
I find it very comforting to be here.
Marika Chartouni, Anushka DeGiorgio, and Rachel K. Benavidez sharing their stories about Epstein for the first time on television.
I think the nature of this kind of abuse means that you're conditioned to be silent, to be isolated, secretive, and shameful.
I feel like, it was a big game for him, and we were the pieces of his game.
And you're like, I'm just not going to say anything because that's what he told me to do.
The women all have familiar stories of grooming, promises, and then sexual assault.
I can relate to pretty much every person sitting here next to me.
Virginia Roberts-Giuffre says Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her one summer when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. In her first broadcast interview, Virginia tells NBC News what she has previously alleged in court filings, that Epstein directed her to also have sex with a number of powerful men, among them Britain's Prince Andrew.
He was an abuser. He was a participant.
Virginia says she was 17 when this photo was taken with the prince in Maxwell's London townhome, next to the bathroom where she says he sexually abused her.
What happened? The first time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I couldn't believe it.
Virginia says the abuse moved from the bathroom to a bedroom.
He wasn't rude or anything about it. He said, you know, thank you and some kind of soft sentiments like that and left. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
She says Prince Andrew abused her 2 more times, once in New York in Epstein's mansion and again at his Virgin Islands estate.
Prince Andrew, of course, denies that this ever happened.
He denies that it ever happened, and he's going to keep denying that it ever happened. But he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
What do you say if people think this is about money for you, that you're trying to get money and have gotten money?
Well, unfortunately, there's this horrible law called statute of limitations. My lawyer said the way to get Ghislaine Maxwell held accountable, the way to get Jeffrey Epstein held accountable, is through them saying I'm a liar, which I'm not. So it's called a defamation suit.
Like all others she's named, Prince Andrew has denied the allegations. Buckingham Palace telling NBC News in a statement, "It is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation." Maxwell has not been criminally charged and has repeatedly denied the accusations against her.
What does justice look like to you now?
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him, and encouraging more people to come forward so we can try to put this puzzle together and understand how it happened. How did this happen for so long? How did he get away with it?
These are questions many of these women have asked, especially now, after Epstein's suicide in jail, awaiting trial on child sex trafficking and conspiracy charges.
I feel let down, you know, that he was able to commit suicide. Yeah, it was really upsetting. They failed us before. Don't fail us again. Exactly. That's all we're asking. Take us serious. We matter. You matter. You matter, and you matter. And for all the girls out there, you all matter too.
Yes.
A message to other possible victims of Epstein still waiting in the shadows.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
There's something about seeing the group of women together with those shared stories that is incredibly compelling, as is Virginia's story.
The image itself is powerful,
Yeah.
and the words even more powerful.
Yeah, you can see Savannah's full conversation, a special Dateline that is tonight at 10, 9 Central. And by the way, we are going to check in with Savannah in just a little bit and see how she's feeling in our next hour. She has come down with pneumonia, and we're going to talk to a doctor about what we can do about that.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Attorney General Pam Bondi privately told Donald Trump that he appeared in the Epstein files multiple times. And she told him this before her Department of Justice declared the Jeffrey Epstein case essentially closed. Nothing to see here, and declined to release any more files to the public, despite all kinds of promises to the contrary. Now, that's the top line of an incredible new piece of reporting from the Wall Street Journal today, detailing that meeting back in May between Trump, his attorney general, and her deputy, former Trump defense lawyer Todd Blanche. We'll have more about him in a moment. According to senior administration officials, Bondi and Blanche told the president at the meeting that the files contained what officials felt was, listen to this, unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. One official familiar with the documents said they contained hundreds of other names. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child pornography and victims' personal information, the officials said. Now, I should be clear here, NBC News has not independently verified this reporting, which appeared just hours ago in the Wall Street Journal. And let's be clear, the mere presence of a person's name in these files is not an indication of wrongdoing by itself. As we know, Epstein had tons of people that he was associated with. The White House communications director called the Journal report, quote, another fake news story. But we do know that meeting happened. Bondi briefed Trump on the results of her DOJ Epstein investigation in May. And if the Journal's reporting is accurate, and subsequently the Times is reporting along similar lines, if Bondi did tell Trump at that meeting that his name was in the files, then why did he say the opposite when asked about that very thing last week?
Specifically, did she
she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it.
They were made by Barack Obama using his time-traveling machine. He was asked directly if Bondi told him he was in the files, and he said no. And then he said the files were made up by a whole bunch of Democrats and rambled about Russia. And now we have a report suggesting that was a lie. I think he would remember if Pam Bondi told him he was in the files, don't you? For what reason would he lie like that? In fact, here's a litany of other things Trump has said about the Epstein case in recent weeks after he was reportedly told his name was in the files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. I call it the Epstein hoax.
Remember, he was never a big factor in terms of life. The Journal report raises a lot of other questions. For instance, it says that FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. Patel declined to answer the Journal's questions. Now, who exactly would Kash Patel have been telling this to? It's not clear. If he did do that, that seems like kind of a big no-no. It is worth noting that in the middle of all this, back in June, remember when billionaire Elon Musk had his big falling out with Trump over the bill that Trump was pushing? Do you remember when Musk tweeted, then deleted a post saying the following, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump." Today's Journal report also cited a statement from Bondi and her deputy, Blanche, saying nothing in the Epstein files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings they said. But here's the thing. If nothing warranted further investigation, then why is the Trump DOJ suddenly in talks with Epstein's key accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell? Maxwell's currently serving 20 years in federal prison for recruiting and grooming middle school and high school girls for sexual abuse by Epstein and others. And her lawyers in discussion with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who again was Trump's personal defense lawyer in his criminal conviction. Those talks have raised speculation they might be trying to negotiate a deal with Maxwell that could get her out of jail sooner. All of this comes after the Journal's bombshell report late last week describing a letter that Trump reportedly wrote the late child sex trafficker for his 50th birthday. A letter written inside a line drawing of a naked woman with Donald Trump signed where her pubic hair would be, in which he says, among other things, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Enigmas never age. May every day be another wonderful secret." Trump says the story is fake and is suing the reporters, the paper, the owner, Rupert Murdoch, for literally billions of dollars. But if that story rocked Trump world, and it seemed to do that, today's Journal reporting might rock MAGA to its core. It also, crucially, seems to corroborate allegations by ranking Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin. Remember, we reported this just a few days ago, who wrote a letter to Pam Bondi last week demanding her answers to reports that the hundreds of FBI personnel who reviewed the Epstein files were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. All of us leaves us with the question, where is the Attorney General in all this? The Trump appointee who months ago promised to release the Epstein files that were, quote, sitting on her desk, who just 2 weeks ago told us there was nothing worth releasing, who we have learned today reportedly told Trump he was in the Epstein files multiple times. Believe it or not, Pam Bondi was scheduled to speak today at a conservative international summit against human trafficking. But when she was set to take the stage, a Justice Department deputy came out instead.
I do have a note from the Attorney General, from Attorney General Pam Bondi, that I wanted to share, which is the following. I'm sorry to miss all of my CPAC friends today, especially Matt and Mercy Schlapp, Senator Blackburn, and the wonderful team at the Tim Tebow Foundation. Unfortunately, I am recovering from a recently torn cornea, which is preventing me from being with you. I truly wish I was able to join you and support all of the work being done on this critical issue.
Well, when Pam Bondi gets back to work, and we, of course, wish her well, she'll have a lot of questions to answer. Claire McCaskill is a former Democratic senator of Missouri. Harry Littman serves as a Deputy Assistant Attorney General at the Department of Justice, and they join me now. Harry, let me start with you as someone who was fairly high up in the Department of Justice. You've served as both a U.S. Attorney and in Maine Justice. I have my own feelings about this, but I'm going to ask you and reserve my judgment. Does this seem like a normal process in which the Attorney General goes through a bunch of files, promises some big explosive, disclosure, has agents working literally around the clock to flag appearances of the president's name, then tells the president he's in there, and then says we're not going to release anything?
Bizarre, abnormal, and completely forbidden, Chris, under the rules as they were. Now, we know the Trump team has laid waste to them, but it's 100% clear. Either there's a pending civil and criminal investigation, in which case you may not get within a mile of telling the president his name is mentioned, or there isn't, raising the question, what the hell is the Deputy Attorney General doing in this sort of freelance political operation to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell? What law is he trying to execute and enforce? You may not tell. There are instances. Recall Comey telling Trump as he was coming in, he's in the Russia papers, but that's because of a specific exception. If there's a pending criminal civil investigation, you may not let them know at all. And I really don't know what Blanche now even purports to be doing. What is the mission? It just seems like some freelance political operation that does not fit in the Deputy Attorney General's job description.
One aspect of this, Claire, that I think has made this distinct from other things that happened with Trump is, and I think you'll agree with me, you were a Democratic senator. Look, when there's a Democratic president, the Democratic Party, Democrats, and media, broadly in line with the sort of center-left viewpoint, will criticize that president relentlessly. People on the left will get mad at them very quickly. The Trump experience has been very different insofar as there has been this kind of just full lockstep, right? There's no anger is brooked, a little stuff around Iran, no dissent is tolerated, and this seems like there is something just happening here for the first time where he's taking incoming from his own folks, including a vote with Republicans today to subpoena these files. What do you think?
Well, keep in mind that Todd Blanche represented him in matters having to do with him paying off a porn star. This is a man who showed his immorality most of his adult life. A serial adulterer. He changed wives as often as he changed shirts, obviously for younger women. He was fooling around with a porn star weeks after his wife gave birth to their only child. And this is the guy that this really rib-rocked Christian Mike Johnson is twisting himself into a pretzel to try to defend. And the bottom line is this, Chris, it is believable that Donald Trump is in these files. It is believable to everyone. They were willing to overlook all the things that he did and they know he did for a lot of complicated reasons. But pedophiles and blowing up the conspiracy that they hold near and dear to the foundations of MAGA, protecting all these big important people that are in these files. And, verified hearsay, I got to tell you the truth. If you've ever read an investigative file, that's what it is. They're called allegations. They're called information. Mm-hmm. They're unverified because they're part of gathering facts. That doesn't mean that they're not reliable or interesting. And this is a bed that Trump made, and now he's got a lie in it. He made his base absolutely believe that this was a file that should be released and that he would release it.
Pikachu Shelby, the Billionaire, here live for you guys on Instagram under Legendary Billionaire. We want to give you an update with Epstein files. We definitely found the list. Now we got to go to phase 2, part 2. So let's get cracking, people. So here we go. We have the Epstein files we showed last time, February 27th. And you can see we have the Epstein files list compiled here. We can't put all of this on Instagram, but you'll see the black book, the original YouTube video, the phase 1, the attorney letter general, blah, blah, blah. Here's the Legal Express, the evidence list people said was disgusting. It's true. Vibrators. You see Bill Clinton on here for the flight logs. If you guys didn't see it, I don't know why the news just doesn't show it to you guys. Ben Affleck's been on there once, Ehud Barak twice. I put the frequencies, Bill Clinton 26 times, Alan Dershowitz 4. So you can see the flight logs here. We broke it down for you to make it easier. Les Wexner, Donald Trump 7 times, tells the times, dates, everything right here for you to look at. So if you want, we already put this on my Facebook. Here's the Black Book client list, unredacted. The first one the FBI put was redacted, so it was blacked out. But we found it already for you. I can put this link here, and here's Donald Trump for all you curious folks. Donald Trump's right there on page 85. Right there is Donald Trump, names, phone numbers. You guys can screenshot that. You can see Melania at AOL.com. You can tell we're dating ourselves with AOL right there at the Mar-a-Lago Club. So that's Donald Trump's right there. I'll show you the original Facebook video. We just did a Facebook video of the video. Now we're doing it for all of our IG fans. You can follow my Facebook at Keiki Okalani right there. And then I'll show you the intel that we dropped. Make this real quick. So if you guys are following me, we tagged it with the letter. And then when you click on some more, we tagged a lot of people today. If you didn't know, I'll show you guys the results. So this is the full Epstein list we sent out. And you're going to see who we contacted actually. Took from yesterday till today, 2 days, exposing the Jeffrey Epstein list. We contacted the FBI, CIA, NSA through their website, United Nations, Interpol, Hawaii Attorney General's Office, Democratic National Committee, White House, Honolulu Police Commissioners, Congress. We contacted Mazie Hirono, Brian Schatz, Ed Case, Joe Tokuda yesterday to see if they did anything. Ed Case did respond back. I can show you guys the email. Then you guys, if you know the Republicans or Democrats, I'll just go over the list. Representative Ted Lieu, Ro Khanna, Jamie Raskin, Nancy Macy, Thomas Massey, Jim Jordan, Zoe Lofgren, Jasmine Crockett, Joey Negussi, Sidney Kamlager-Dove, Becca Balint, Lucy McBath, Deborah Ross, Mary Gay Scanlon, Pramila Jayapal, Laura Lee, Mike Johnson, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, Steve Scalise, Tom Emmer, Lisa McLean, Kevin Hearn. News media contacts, Wall Street Journal, CNN, Fox News, New York Times, NBC, Washington Post, Politico, The New Republic, Axios, The Hill, ABC, CBS, KITV, KHON, Hawaii News Now, Honolulu Civil Beat, Star Advertiser. We just sent the local stuff today because we want to make sure it goes national and worldwide global. We did attempt to reach Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Jon Stewart, The Daily Show, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, Joe Rogan, Patrick McDavid from Value Entertainment did respond back. We got an email from Bernadette, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, David Icke, AJ from the Y-Files, Elon Musk, and Grok. So we sent all the intel list right here, and we had to summarize it right here so you can see the agencies, how we counted them, the tips. We even got a reference code from the CIA, Juliet Hotel Foxtrot 8, Sierra, Quebec, Whiskey, Xylophone, Xerox. So you can see how we contacted them. If you contact the White House, you only get 4,000 characters max. CIA is 2,000, FBI is 1,000. And some, when you contact these emails, you are able to put a lot of stuff, but for Joe Tokuda and certain reps, you can only put 2,000 characters max, so you don't really get to see all the intel. So because I didn't believe these 4 only in people Hawaii could do anything of a difference, I also contacted the main heads and chairs for the Republican House, Speaker Mike Johnson, who just talked on the news. So I emailed him the same intel I'm telling all of you guys. Hawaii's getting the first scoops, and where it follows us on IG and FB, they're definitely getting the faster intel because Ted Lieu, they're talking about it on Instagram, but they're not showing you the names and the lists. And these are all the people on these committees, the news outlets, because you kept on hearing CNN repeat it. It was irritating me, so I just dropped the whole intel for them. And we know Joe Moore is not going to print the news. Civil Beat might have a chance, but the Star Advertiser could make a lot of money just printing out the list we're going to go over with all of you. You guys already know my Instagram, so we're going to load this up to here. We do have an X, the American Party, OG, right there. to follow Elon Musk's lead. We started the American Party on X Twitter, which is his own thing. So he can show you right here. So we did get some emails back real briefly. The White House did contact us back. I can show you guys. The White House from Washington. I did send this to President Donald Trump. Even though he's on the list, President Donald J. Trump recently secured a massive trade deal with Japan. Blah, blah, blah. It's nothing to do with the Jeffrey Epstein files. Just so you know, show you guys the proof. You can see the other Congress people. It's just merely a thank you. Here we got from Congressman Ed Case. And you guys are going to trip out here. The Honorable Shelby Pikachu Billionaire. They called me the Honorable Billionaire right there from Ed Case. The Honorable Billionaire. Mahalo for contacting me with your support for releasing the files related to the investigation to Jeffrey Epstein. Although some documents related to the investigation may have been released. So this link goes back to this page we originally started with. So Ed Case is giving me the same intel we already went. And then he says it's under investigation. I'm just going to paraphrase all this so not to bore you all. And so you guys are ahead of the game. Right, so now we're going to go to Bernadette from PBD. If you guys watch Valuetainment, Patrick Bet David, they said, "Hi, Pikachu. Thank you for reaching out. We appreciate your suggestion. I'll send this over to the team to review and consider. If they're interested, they'll reach out to you due to high number of suggestions. If you're looking for immediate answer, you can reach out to Head of Research, Brandon Aceto on Instagram, who I did send through a private message DM. So now let's go over the list of names because I know you guys are curious. So I have it on my Intel list here. You can see the names in black and white. And we'll see. You can also see it on my Facebook if we scroll down. Because these are the people we contacted. So all of this is already on public record. All the links you can click on. Facebook's a lot easier to use than IG. So this is the same flight logs you can see. Ben Affleck right here. Ehud Barak, the former prime minister. And it says when they went from New York to Palm Beach. David Copperfield one time from New York to Palm Beach. And these are the additional notes. Trump confirmation. Donald Trump is explicitly listed in the flight logs for 7 flights. DJT. Famous politicians. You're going to see the names here. Ehud Barak. Tony Blair. All these other names. Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton. And when we go to the royals. Rothschilds, of course. You never know they're not royal. Royal pain in the butt. And then the famous, well-known people, Ben Affleck, Julie Andrews, that's Mary Poppins. And you're going to see all these other names, A through Z, Michael Bloomberg. And that's why a lot of people don't want this to come out, Tom Brady. So you could just read this name out, Edgar Bronfman, that's the Illuminati families. Sandra Bullock's on here, Warren Buffett, Pat Buchanan, Naomi Campbell, James Cameron. And it tells you, if you didn't know, Titanic, Avatar, Tucker Carlson is on here, Jimmy Carter, Jim Carrey, Cher, Deepak Chopra, Chris Christie, the chubby fat guy, see Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, George Clooney, Phil Collins. And you guys can see the list right here. Katie Couric, your name's right on here. You're a client on the Black Book. Kevin Costner. Do they say anything about this? Not really. Sheryl Crow, Russell Crowe, we know. Tom Cruise, Ted Cruz, Billy Crystal, Tim Curry. So you're going to see all these names right here on this list. Robert De Niro. I won't go through it all with you guys. You guys can check it out. I'll send you the links on the Black Book. I cannot put all of this on the IG description, but you can see how it goes all the way down. These are not all of the names. These are what the most people know because you can click on the book yourself. Schwarzenegger, of course, we know Will Smith, Snoop Dogg, Kevin Spacey, Britney Spears, Steven Spielberg, Bruce Springsteen, Sylvester Stallone, Ringo Starr, and it goes on and until we get to who? Mark Zuckerberg, Catherine Zeta-Jones as well. So these are the names on the list, on the Epstein list that you guys can check out. And I'll figure a way, because you can't put the whole list onto IG. We do have limits. And when we're done with this, we'll post it on the profile here, because it should upload automatically for Legendary Billionaire. You guys can check us out, find us out. So thank you all for those who tuned in. And I'm glad you guys watched it at Kauai or Hawaii. Aminana, aloha. If you guys are watching, yoroshiku. Nihonjin mo suki da yo. Let's see if we can close this out. So thank you for all. We found the Epstein files. If you want to know, I'll put the links below so you guys can follow along. We can't put the full list because it doesn't fit and max us out on characters. That's how they get you. We can't send it all, and sometimes the emails don't work because you just can't email your P-Loutician because they don't accept emails. You have to go to their website. Pain in the butt. They do it on purpose. But now you guys and girls know the truth, and may the truth set you free. Always be the light. May the force be with you always. You can follow us online. We do have a website, ohanaunityparty.com. We're making a brand new political party because we don't care about the donkeys or the elephants. We know it's rigged. We got the Office of Elections meeting coming up on next week, Wednesday, the 30th. You can follow Ralph Kushney because we caught the fraud in Kauai and Big Island. And if they screwed up the elections, we got pedophile president, corrupt rapist, DOJ, AG's lying to everyone on planet Earth because we just showed you the client list, the flight logs, and the files. So may the force be with you always. You guys have a beautiful night, and I'll see you guys in cyberspace. Aloha. Chihu. Pika pika.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen.
I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS.
I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you.
Oh, there is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor.
Oh, I hear you whisper underneath your breath.
I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of
Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. E ke ona noho I ka lipo. A fond embrace, a hoia until we meet again. Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. E ke ona noho I ka lipo. One fond embrace, a hoia until we meet again.